It was a cold, rainy evening. The sky was dark, and the streets were almost empty. At the small bus stop near the market, a boy named Armand sat alone. His clothes were wet, his hair was messy, and his eyes looked tired. He was thinking about his life, his failures, and how nothing was going right. The rain felt heavy on his heart, the same way his problems did, as he looked at the falling rain. He suddenly noticed someone running from the other side of the street. It was a girl. She was holding a small brown bag close to her chest and trying to cover her head with her hand. Her steps were quick, and water splashed below her feet. She reached the bus stop and sat at the very corner, far from Armand. As if she didn't want anyone to look at her, her name was Maya. But Armand did not know that yet. She placed her bag down slowly and kept her eyes on the road. Her body language showed she was nervous, maybe even scared of something. Armand glanced at her once, then looked away, not wanting to make her uncomfortable. But something kept pulling his attention back to her. It was her shoes. They were old, very old. The sides were torn, the color had faded, and the sole looked like it could break any time. One shoelace was missing, and the other was tied in a weak knot. The shoes did not match her clothes at all. She was wearing a clean shirt and a simple scarf, but her shoes looked like they had survived years of struggle. Maya kept trying to hide her shoes under her seat. She pulled her legs back, crossed them, uncrossed them, and then folded them again. Anyone could tell she didn't want anyone to notice them. But Armand had already noticed him. He felt something unusual. He didn't feel pity. He felt curiosity. A question kept repeating in his mind. Why would someone like her still wear shoes like that? The silence between them was broken when Maya's phone vibrated. She looked around quickly, then answered in a soft voice. I know. I'm trying, she whispered. I just need some more time. Please trust me. Her voice cracked a little, as if she was carrying a heavy burden. She ended the call and wiped her eyes before the tears could fall. Armand pretended not to see. But inside he felt something shift, like this girl had a story no one knew about. A few minutes passed. The rain became stronger. The wind pushed water into the bus stop, wetting their shoes. Maya moved her feet back again, but the water reached them anyway. The left shoe bent strangely, and suddenly ripped the front part of her shoe, tore even more. Maya froze. She looked down at her shoe with sad eyes, then whispered to herself, thinking no one could hear, I'm sorry. You tried your best. I'll replace you soon. She apologized to her shoe like it was alive, like it was her companion. Armand heard it clearly, and something about that moment hit him deep. He felt an ache in his chest, a soft kind of pain, like he was watching someone who never complained even when life was unfair. Maya slowly tried to stand when the bus came closer, but with the torn shoe, she struggled. She stepped forward, but the shoe almost slipped off. She quickly held it with her hand, embarrassed, hoping Armand wasn't watching, but he was. Not in a rude way, not in a judging way. He watched with concern, the way someone watches a painful truth they cannot ignore. As the bus stopped in front of them, Maya took a deep breath. She didn't want anyone on the bus to see her broken shoe. She waited for others to get on first, then stepped slowly. Armand followed behind her, still thinking about her soft apology. He didn't know her. He didn't know her name. He didn't know her past. But one thing was sure. The bus door opened with a sharp hiss, and cold air rushed inside. Maya stepped in slowly, trying hard to keep her broken shoe from slipping off. She held the handrail tightly, balancing each step as if she was walking on thin ice. Armand followed her quietly, keeping a little distance so she wouldn't feel uncomfortable, yet staying close enough to help if needed. Most of the seats were wet from the rain. Except for one near the window and one beside it, Maya walked toward the window seat, gently dragging her shoe. She sat down quickly and placed her bag on her lap, hoping it would hide her feet. Armand reached the same row and paused for a moment. Can I sit here? He asked softly. Maya looked up, a little surprised. People usually ignored her at bus stops. They never asked to sit near her. She nodded. Yes, you can sit. Armand sat beside her, trying to act normal, but the sound of her shoes scraping the floor made him look down again. Maya instinctively pulled her feet back and pressed them under the seat. A moment of awkward silence followed. The bus started moving, and raindrops raced each other on the window. Armand wanted to say something, but he didn't want to sound like he was pitying her. He took a slow breath. "Tough evening," said casually. Maya looked out of the window. "Yes, very tough," she whispered. Armand noticed the sadness behind her words. She wasn't talking only about the rain. He smiled gently. "By the way, I'm Armand." She hesitated for a second before replying. "Maya." Her voice was soft, like she wasn't used to introductions. Armand nodded. "Nice name, thanks," she replied quickly, her tone polite but guarded. He didn't know why, but he wanted to make her feel comfortable. Something about her loneliness felt familiar to him. "So, do you always take this bus?" he asked. "Every day," she said. "After work? Long day?" Maya gave a small, tired smile. "2 jobs." "So yes," Armand was surprised. She didn't look like someone who complained. Her calmness had strength in it. "What do you do?" he asked. "I work at a cafe during the day, and I teach 2 children in the evening." Armand admired her dedication. "That's impressive." She shook her head lightly. "It's just life. When you don't have choices, you learn to keep going." Her words were simple, but they carried the weight of someone who had struggled quietly for a long time. The bus hit a small pothole, and Maya's shoe slipped off slightly. She quickly grabbed it with her hand and fixed it back. Her cheeks turned red with embarrassment. Armand pretended not to notice this time, giving her space. "Are you going home now?" he asked. "Yes. Alone. Mostly." She didn't look afraid, just used to it. A few minutes passed. The bus was dim, and the sound of rain made everything feel slower. Maya kept staring outside, lost in her thoughts. Armand finally spoke again, carefully. "Are you okay? You seemed upset earlier." I blinked and looked down. "Just personal things. You don't have to share," Armand added quickly. "I didn't mean to push. No. It's okay. I just didn't expect anyone to notice." Armand looked at her gently. "Sometimes people notice more than you think." Maya looked at him for the first time, not quickly, not nervously, but with real attention. Her eyes were tired, but they carried honesty. "Thank you," she said quietly. The bus slowed down at a stop. Maya stood up. "This is my stop." Armand felt the conversation had just started, yet she was leaving already. She stepped forward carefully, holding her shoe again. Before getting off, she looked at him once more. "Good night, Armand. Good night, Maya." She stepped out into the rain, her old shoes splashing in the puddles. Armand watched her through the bus window as she walked away, her figure disappearing into the dark street. He didn't understand why, but a strange feeling settled inside him. Something told him this wasn't the last time he would see her. Something told him her story had just begun to unfold. The next day, the sky was clear, but Armand's mind was cloudy with thoughts of Maya. He kept replaying small moments, the way she hid her shoes, the soft apologies she whispered, the tired smile she gave when she said she had 2 jobs. He didn't know why, but her silence felt louder than words. That evening, he reached the bus stop a little earlier than usual. He told himself he wasn't waiting for her, but his eyes kept shifting toward the road every few seconds. The street was busy, but the bench beside him remained empty. 5 minutes passed. 10 minutes. Then he saw her. Maya walked slowly this time, not running like yesterday. Her steps were smaller, careful. The same old shoes were still on her feet, patched with a piece of black tape. She noticed Armand sitting there but looked away shyly, like she wasn't sure if she should sit near him again. Armand smiled warmly. "Hi. Long day." She nodded and sat down, keeping a little distance. "Very long," she said, "but I'm getting used to it." Armand noticed her hands. They had small ink stains, probably from teaching, and faint red marks from carrying heavy trays at the cafe. "You look tired," he said softly. She shrugged. "Work is work." Her voice sounded calm, But her eyes showed truth. She was exhausted. Armin wanted to ask more, but he didn't want to cross any line. So he tried something simple. Did the kids behave today? Maya laughed lightly, the first natural laugh he had heard from her. One of them threw a pencil at me. The other cried because his homework was too long. Armin smiled. Sounds fun? It's chaos, she admitted, but they learned slowly. And they make me feel like I'm doing something useful. Armin saw pride in her eyes, quiet, modest pride. The bus was late today. The streetlights flickered, and darkness slowly wrapped around them. Maya hugged her bag closer, not out of fear, but out of habit. Maybe life had taught her to hold her belongings tightly. After a while, Armin noticed her staring at her shoes again. She wasn't hiding them this time. She was simply looking at them with a sad expression. He spoke gently. Why don't you buy new ones? She took a breath. I will. One day. One day. Why not now? Maya gave a small smile, the kind a person gives when they don't want sympathy. Because I send most of my money home. Armin listened silently. My mother is sick, she continued. My younger sister wants to study, and my father doesn't earn much now. I try to help. Whatever I can. Armin felt a heaviness inside. She was fighting battles no one could see, wearing old shoes, not by choice but sacrifice, so I don't spend on myself, Maya said. Shoes, clothes, these things can wait. But you're working so hard, Armin said softly. That's why I can't stop, she replied. If I stop, everything will fall apart. Her honesty made the night feel still. Armin understood her more in these few minutes than many people would in years. He didn't see her shoes anymore. He only saw strength. The bus finally arrived with loud brakes. Maya stood up, but this time Armin noticed something new. She didn't try to hide her shoes. She simply walked forward, accepting that this was her reality. They sat together again. The bus moved through the glowing city lights. Maya leaned against the window, watching the world pass by. Armin watched her reflection in the glass, quiet, tired but strong. After a long silence, Maya spoke softly. Thank you. For talking to me? Why? Armin asked. Most people don't, she said. They see my clothes, my shoes, and they think I'm not worth their time. Armin felt something tighten in his chest. Maya, he said gently, you deserve more than people like that. She looked at him, surprised. No one had ever said something like that to her. For the first time. She didn't look away, and Armin knew. Her story had pain, struggle, in silence, but it also had courage he had never seen before. The next few days became a quiet routine. Every evening, Armin reached the bus stop a little early. And every evening, Maya arrived with the same tired steps and the same old shoes. But something had changed. She didn't avoid him anymore. She sat beside him without hesitation. And each day their conversations grew a little deeper, a little warmer. One evening, the weather was pleasant. No rain, no wind. Just faint orange light from the setting sun. Maya looked less tired today, but there was still a shadow in her eyes. Armin noticed immediately. You okay? He asked. Maya hesitated. Just thinking about what? About life, she replied with a small sigh. Some days feel too heavy. Armin didn't rush her. He learned that Maya spoke only when she felt safe. She looked down at her shoes, slowly swinging her feet. The tape was peeling off. The soles were almost gone. I should buy new ones soon, she said quietly. You should, Armin agreed gently. But what's stopping you? Maya smiled weakly. Money, maybe. Maybe guilt too. Guilt. She nodded. If I buy something for myself, I feel selfish. My mother's medicine is expensive. My sister's school fees come every month. I keep telling myself, next month I'll buy new shoes. But next month, something else always happens. She wasn't complaining. She was simply explaining her truth. Armin watched her carefully. And people judge you because of these shoes. She laughed sadly. All the time. Some customers at the cafe look at my shoes before they look at me. Kids at tuition ask why I don't buy new ones. Even strangers on the street stare. She paused, voice softening. I started hiding them to avoid questions. Armand felt a sharp sadness inside. Not for the shoes, for the world that made her feel small. But you shouldn't hide them, he said softly. Maya looked at him with a confused expression. Why not? They're old, broken, embarrassing. Armand shook his head slowly. No, they're not. Then what are they? She asked quietly, almost afraid of the answer. For a long moment, Armand didn't speak. He just looked at her. The girl who carried her family on her shoulders, who worked 2 jobs without complaining, who apologized to a pair of shoes because life had forced her to depend on them longer than she wanted. And then he said something Maya had never expected to hear. They walked you into my life, he said softly. How can you be ashamed of something that brought you here? Maya froze. The world around her seemed to stop, the traffic noise, the distant honking, the chatter of people passing by. She stared at Armand, unsure if she had heard him right. What? What do you mean? She asked, voice trembling. Armand smiled gently. If you had worn perfect shoes or lived a perfect life, maybe you wouldn't be sitting here today. Maybe we would have never met. These old shoes carried you through everything. They survived every hard day with you. They're not embarrassing, Maya. They're proof of your strength. Maya's eyes filled with tears, not the painful kind, but the kind that come when someone finally understands you. No one has ever said something like that to me, she whispered. Armand looked straight at her. No one saw you the way you deserved to be seen. She blinked, and a tear slipped down her cheek. Quickly she wiped it away, embarrassed. I'm sorry, she said softly. For crying? Armand asked. For everything, Armand shook his head. Don't apologize. Not for your shoes. Not for your life. Not for your struggle. The bus arrived, but neither of them moved. Maya was still processing his words, still trying to understand why someone cared enough to say them. When she finally stood, her voice was gentle. Double quotes, thank you, Armand, she whispered. For what? For seeing me. Armand felt something warm spread inside his chest. It wasn't love yet, but it was something real, something rare. As they stepped onto the bus, Maya didn't hide her shoes this time. And for Armand, that small change meant more than any words she could have said. The days after Armand's words felt different for Maya. She still woke up early, rushed from her cafe job to her tuition classes, and returned home late at night. But somewhere inside her, something had shifted. It wasn't loud or dramatic. It was quiet. It's like a small light that had been turned on in a dark room. For the first time in a long time, she didn't hide her shoes. She walked with them openly, not proudly, but without shame. When customers looked at them, she didn't shrink inside. When children asked questions, she smiled instead of feeling hurt. It confused her at first. How could one person's words change the way she felt? But then she realized it wasn't the words. It was the honesty in them. Armand didn't see her shoes. He saw her. That evening, when she reached the bus stop, Armand was already sitting there. He stood up as soon as he saw her. You look happier today, he said with a warm smile. Maya laughed softly. Do I? Yes. Armand nodded. Something is different. Maya sat down beside him. The old bus stop, once a place of silence, had become a place where she felt safe. She looked at her shoes and then at Armand. I didn't hide them today, she said quietly. I noticed, Armand replied, and I'm proud of you. Those simple words made her heart feel strangely light. She wasn't used to people being proud of her. She wasn't used to people caring. They waited for the bus, in peaceful silence. The evening breeze brushed against them, and the sky turned soft shades of purple and gold. Maya hugged her bag to her chest. I was thinking about something, she said suddenly. Armand turned toward her. About what? My life, she replied. I work every day. I help my family, but I never think about myself. I forgot what it feels like to want something. Armand listened carefully. What do you want? He asked. Maya looked down at her hands. I don't know. Maybe stability. Maybe rest. Maybe time to breathe. Then start with something small, Armand said gently. Something for yourself. Maya didn't answer, but she remembered his words. 2 days later, something unexpected happened. When Maya walked to the cafe in the morning, her manager called her inside the office. Maya, you've been working hard, he said. We're giving small bonuses to staff who've been consistent. You earned it. He handed her a small envelope. It wasn't a big amount, but it was something. All day long, she kept touching the envelope in her pocket. Not because of the money, but because she felt recognized, appreciated. That evening, instead of going straight to the bus stop, she stopped at a small shoe shop. The shop wasn't fancy, but it had neat shelves and bright lights. Maya picked up a simple pair of black shoes. Nothing fancy, nothing expensive. Just comfortable and new, the shopkeeper asked. Try these. Maya looked at her old shoes, the ones patched with tape. The ones that had walked with her through every storm, and for a moment she felt emotional. But then she remembered Armand's words. Don't hide them. Don't apologize for your struggle. She smiled softly and bought the shoes. But she didn't throw the old ones away. She placed them inside her bag, carefully. Like saving a memory, when she reached the bus stop, Armand noticed her before she even spoke. New shoes? He asked, smiling. Maya nodded. Yes, that's great, he said sincerely. You deserve them. She opened her bag and took out the old pair. The shoes looked tired, worn, and fragile. I wanted to show you, she said quietly. I didn't buy these because I was ashamed. I bought them because I think I'm allowed to take care of myself too. Armand felt something warm grow in his chest. Maya wasn't the same girl who hid her feet under the bus seat. She was changing slowly, bravely. I'm proud of you, he said again. Maya held the old shoes close for a moment, as if saying a silent goodbye to all the pain they carried. Then she looked at Armand with gentle eyes. You helped me see things differently, she said. And I'm grateful. The bus arrived with its usual noisy brakes, but tonight something felt different. Maya walked without hesitation. No hiding, no shame. For the first time, she stepped forward not with fear, but with courage. And Armand, walking beside her, knew this was only the beginning of her transformation. The next week passed quietly, but something about Maya felt brighter. It wasn't just her new shoes or the bonus she received. It was the way she walked, the way she lifted her head, the way she allowed herself to breathe a little easier. She was still tired, still struggling, still working 2 jobs, but for the first time in years, she didn't feel alone in the world. One evening, as she walked toward the bus stop, she saw Armand sitting there with his usual calm expression. But this time he seemed lost in thought, looking at the sky as if searching for answers. Maya approached him gently. You look worried, she said. Armand turned, surprised. Do I? She nodded. Very. He smiled a little. Just thinking about my life. Maya sat beside him. Your problems matter too, you know. You always listen to mine. Armand hesitated. He wasn't used to opening up. But something about Maya's presence made him feel safe. The same way he made her feel seen. I've been searching for a job for months, he confessed. I keep trying, but nothing works out. Maya listened with full attention, something she had learned from her long nights of teaching children. You'll find something, she said softly. Will I? Armand asked. Sometimes it feels like I'm stuck. Maya smiled gently. Then you're not alone. I've been stuck my whole life, but look, I'm still moving. Her simple words touched him more than any motivational speech could. He realized that strength wasn't loud, it was quiet, steady, like Maya herself. Before he could say anything, Maya opened her bag and took out the old shoes. The same ones she had saved? She placed them on her lap. You know, she said softly, these shoes walked with me when I had nothing. They hurt, they tore, they embarrassed me. But they also protected me. Armand watched her calmly. Maya took a deep breath. I want to keep them, not because they were painful, but because they remind me that I survived. Armand nodded slowly. And now? she continued. I want to move forward with something better. Not because I'm running away from my past, but because I'm ready for a new future. The bus arrived, but neither of them stood up. They stayed seated, letting the moment breathe. Armand finally spoke. Maya, I want you to know something. She looked at him, waiting, that day. When you apologized to your shoes, something changed inside me. I saw a person full of strength, not weakness. Maya's eyes grew soft. And you were the first person to make me feel like I wasn't invisible. There was silence. A gentle, peaceful silence. As the next bus approached, Armand stood up and offered her his hand. Shall we? Maya smiled and took it. Yes, let's go. They got on the bus together, sitting side by side as the city lights passed by like slow-moving stars. For the first time, Maya didn't sit by the window to hide. She sat openly, comfortably, her shoulders relaxed, gaze calm. After a few minutes, Maya said, I applied for a better job today. Armin looked at her in surprise. Really? She nodded. You told me to start with something small. I listened. Armand felt pride swell in his chest. I'm glad you did. And you? Maya asked gently. What will you do now? Armand looked out of the window. The city felt different tonight. Less heavy, more hopeful. I'll keep trying, he said. And maybe I'll believe in myself a little more now. Maya smiled. Good. As the bus neared her stop, she stood up slowly. Armand did too. Before leaving, she turned toward him and said softly, Thank you. For walking into my life, Amon replied with the same calm honesty that had touched her from the start. No, Maya, thank you. Your journey taught me more than you know. She stepped off the bus, holding her old shoes in her bag and her new courage in her heart. Armin watched her walk down the street, her steps steady and full of quiet strength. Life didn't suddenly become perfect for either of them, but something beautiful had begun. A friendship, a connection, a hope.